merry meet and welcome to the daily reading for all signs for today, the 20th of September, 2024. This is Ariel Gatoga. I'm so happy to read for you today, and today I'm reading with this Tarot del Romero. And I put the link to purchase another deck by this same artist called the Tarot del Fuego in the video description of this video on YouTube, because I don't believe this is in print anymore. Let's purify with some vervain. This is by Panier d'Essence, and this is 3 sprays, avoiding my coffee this time. I sprayed it right into my coffee yesterday, which made my coffee undrinkable. You can find a link for that in the video description of this video on YouTube as well. Let's see what is in the cards for everybody today. We start off with a 4 of Cups, followed by a 6 of Wands, and then we have the Knight of Wands. Okay, Cups and Wands, these are very nice cards here. The Cups are really about our inner world, including our emotions, but it can also be our spiritual life, the non-physical part of our lives. And the Wands have to do with our work and our creativity, our job, employment, hobbies, things that are important to us in regards to work in the world. So the 6 of Wands is right in the center there. The 6 is the sun. And the sun is considered, a lot of times that sphere is considered the sphere of the miraculous. Because if you think about the sun being the source of the life for our solar system, it represents a larger source, a spiritual source that is the source of all solar systems, the source of all life everywhere. It's the principle of life itself. And the solar light, which emanates from that, the mystical solar light, not necessarily the sunlight, but the solar light, represents the ability of the universe to rearrange things for us. That's why it's considered the 6th sphere on the Tree of Life is considered the sphere of the miraculous. You know what a miracle is? Everybody thinks that miracles are these unusual events that happen. But really, miracles are when we start having normal events happening. It's just that our world is so resistant to the divine, so resistant to the divine design. And when we stop resisting the divine design and everything just kind of falls into place, we say, oh, it's a miracle, when in reality, it's just working the way it's supposed to. So the 6 of Wands is that in your work, that kind of idea within your work in the world. So if you can focus on that solar light, if you can focus on that divine design and just let go into it, you'll notice that your work starts to really clear up, and you start to get so much more done with such little effort, and it almost feels like cheating, when you get into that kind of a flow. And everybody's been there before. And you know how you can lose yourself in your work and you forget what time it is, and when you get done doing that, your work is unbelievably good? Well, that's what this is talking about. So if you don't know how to just kind of lean into that solar light, you might want to try listening to my solar light meditation. Just go to YouTube and search Gatoga Solar Light. It's a very brief meditation. You can learn how to run the process that I described very quickly, and you can run that process yourself. It's very simple, easy, and quick. And it is just a tool to get you in alignment with that divine design. Now, the Knight of Wands is talking about the assistance that you're receiving in your work. And part of the assistance that you're going to receive in your work, coming right off of that 6, is that solar light itself. Now, that solar light brings assistance sometimes just internally. Sometimes it brings the assistance by having people, or you'll be led to certain ideas or trainings or protocols, things like that you didn't know about, just because you're surrendering yourself into that flow, into that divine design. And so there's lots of help coming your way, it's saying, as a result of being in that flow. The 4 of Cups is talking about this all comes about by having a daily, regular spiritual practice. 4s are Jupiter. Jupiter's all about order. It's order in, excuse me, in the world for the purpose of expanding your good, for the purpose of expanding your good. Think of it as nailing the corners of the tent into the ground before you erect the tent. It's very similar kind of concept, except for that when they erect the tent keeps expanding and growing, expanding and growing, expanding and growing. And so the way that you're going to nail the tent pegs down is through a daily spiritual practice. It doesn't need to be anything time consuming even. It's just something you do on a daily basis to align yourself. It can be as simple as working that solar light or whatever spiritual practice you do or you want to do. It can be prayer practice, magical practice, law of attraction, psalms. I mean, whatever your thing is, just doing a little bit every day to align, to get your inner world in alignment and nail those pegs down so that power of Jupiter can expand your good. And there's so much going on in regards to that expansion of good. We've got the 10 of Cups, happiness, 8 of Swords, obsessive thinking, and Page of Swords, lies and misinformation. Okay, so the lies and the misinformation can't touch you if you are in the flow of that solar light. If you are in the flow of the divine design, lies and misinformation, they just evaporate. They don't exist there. It's sort of like if you have a very strong flow of water and you've got this little piece of lint, the lint's going to go. It's just gonna get carried away in the water flow. And the same thing with lies, deceit, misinformation. A lot of times this Page of Swords is unintentional. It's the game of telephone. I read on the internet, that kind of stuff. Ugh. It gets so old, doesn't it? Well, none of that stuff even exists anymore if you're in the flow of that divine design. It's gone. But the problem is that we're attracted to those things. We're attracted to those things, just like I kind of demonstrated there, either by being like pulled into them or by resisting them, like by being annoyed with them. And it's normal to be annoyed with stuff like that, but that annoyance is even not part of the divine design. It's where we can just let go of it and just know it's being taken care of, right? But what you can do just to make sure that you're not being carried away by anything false is just by claiming divine truth. Divine truth is part of this Jupiter. So Jupiter is divine truth, and the sun here is the divine design, and also the principle of life itself, like we said, like the sun is. So if you're really anchoring yourself into divine truth, anchoring yourself into the divine design, you don't have to worry about what other people are doing. You really don't. You don't have to worry about what's going on outside of you. Even the stuff that you've been told is so important that you are that you are involved mentally with. I know that I grew up with parents that were very into, you have to be very aware of current events. You have to be very aware of current events. And so that's just sort of my orientation because I was raised that way. I'm so aware of current events. But see, if I let that go too far, I can be a news junkie. And then I get pulled into all of that. And so if I can, instead of that, if I can remind myself about the divine design and just claim it, I'm one with the divine design. I am one with divine truth. Divine truth is the one and only reality in my body, mind, and affairs. Those kinds of ideas. Then I have enough exposure to the headline so I am informed, but I don't get sucked into the vortex of media. Right? And that's what you can do too. And it's very important that you do that because this 8 of Swords is talking about obsessive thinking. And obsessive thinking and the solar light, they are completely incompatible. You get one or the other. So you can either be in the lint or you can be in the flow of the water. You can't be both. And the thing is that the obsessive thinking, that's the ego mind trying to make you believe that it is more important than the divine design. What you're obsessing over is the most important thing in the world, bigger than the universe, bigger than anything. And so you can't stop thinking about it. You can't stop thinking about it. And the ego is even more excited about that if what you're obsessing over is something really scary or really negative. So if you notice that you can't drop it from your mind, use one more technique that I have on YouTube called the off switch. You can just go onto YouTube, search Gatoga off switch. You'll learn that technique in 30 seconds by listening to that video. And you can apply it again and again and again. And you want to be just as obsessive at getting rid of the obsession as the obsession is obsessive about whatever it's thinking. Don't let it have any airtime. And if you shut that down again and again and again, it shuts up. It stops. You have dominance over it. Now, you're not fighting against it. You're disregarding it. You're dispelling it. There's a big difference between fighting against your mind and completely dropping it, dispelling it. You're dropping the obsessive thinking. You're dropping any influence that these mistruths have over you. And then you are free again to get very involved in the divine design, that solar light, that spiritual practice, which the purpose of it is this 10 of Cups, which is to bring you your happily ever after. And you see, you had a really great outcome, it's saying at one point. Something wonderful happened, and your ego started turning it into a worry. And that's what it does. The ego's like, well, what if it doesn't last? What if I can't do it again? Those kinds of things. And it starts obsessing so that it then takes that wonderful thing that happened and either minimizes it, well, it wasn't that great, or puts it into the past. Oh, wasn't it nice that happened once? It's great that you have a nice memory. Now think about this horrible thing, right? So you want to drop that and recognize that happy events become happily ever after when you stay in the present moment, because ever after is the present moment. Ever after is the present moment. So you don't want to worry about the future. You don't want to put your happiness in the past. You want to shut down the obsessive thinking, lean into the solar light, and let your happily ever after be right now, because that's the will of the universe. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, and we'll see you for another daily reading tomorrow. Until next time, blessed be.